Let's open the meeting. Do it. Jeremy, lead us in a flag salute. We're just doing it off camera.
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just go through the first thing. Sunshine Law Statement, all requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met for this meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Oradell. Notice of this meeting was filed with the record in Town News and all persons requesting such notice. Mr. Darian, would you read the mission statement?
Yes, the Oradell Public School District is dedicated to the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence through comprehensive, innovative curriculum and instruction. The district is committed to providing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic discovery to foster curiosity, courage, and character. Our goal is to prepare our students to become lifelong learners who are self-directed, resilient, productive, responsible citizens.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Castro? Here. Mr. Griffin? Here. Mrs. Levy?
Here.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Here.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Walsh? Here. Mr. Darian? Here. Mrs. Nichols?
Here. So since we're waiting for Rami, I just tell you, I would give you part of my board president's report. I talked to Matt Lee. If we want him to do a Zoom with us, the dates he has are December 16th, 17th, 21st, January 4th, 7th, 14th, 26th, and 28th.
What were the general again?
4, 7, 14, 26, 28. Rami's here. So do we
What is this for?
think about that? Do we want to meet with Matt Lee? Do we want to do it ourselves? Do we want to ask Barbara to ask the admin team to just bring us something they've been working on already, since we're already getting into January? And
I think that we had stated in the past that one of the reasons why we were waiting to do this is we wanted to see that we could do it with Matt Lee.
okay, so we have to pick a
So
night.
at this point, you know, for us to turn and say, oh, we're going to do it by ourselves, I think would be,
It's up to
that we
you.
could have done it before by ourselves.
It's just that it's getting late,
Oh, I understand that, but
but he's doing them with other districts too, because everybody's late. So
right.
All right, Rami, we on? You want to open up the webinar? It's open?
Yep.
So we're on? Well, no, not really. Okay. Hi, all. Joining us from Zoom. We apologize for our delay. We had some technical difficulties. What we did was we opened the meeting and we went through the Sunshine Law Statement and Mission Statement. We took the roll call and we are now open to the public for agenda items only. Just raise your digital hand and then I will ask Rami to unmute you and you'll have the floor. So we're open to the public for agenda items only. Okay, not seeing any, we'll move on. Tonight is always a sad night when we do our retirees. Unfortunately, we can't all be in person and have the kids here, which is really what makes it special. But we have 3 retirees this evening. We have Ms. Lynch, Ms. Helmus, and Mr. Duffy. And I was looking at the agenda and I realized that Oradell Public School is losing 75 years of teaching experience this month, which is, I guess, not a good thing for Oradell Public, but good thing for the retirees to take a rest. So I'm going to read, normally we go one at a time, but since no one's here, I'm going to read all the resolutions in a row. And then I'm going to open up to the board and the public for all 3 individuals. So I will start with Ms. Lynch. Whereas Ms. Corinne Lynch has tendered her resignation as a technology teacher in the Oradell Public School District to become effective December 1st, 2020, after over 24 years of service, all of which were spent in dedicated and faithful service to the Oradell Public School District, And whereas during her many years in our school system, she has imparted her knowledge and understanding of the educational needs for the students of the Oradell Public School District. And whereas she has given unselfishly of her time and effort in the interest and welfare of the children of our school district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oradell Board of Education hereby recognizes Ms. Corinne Lynch's contribution to the district and expresses its appreciation of her dedicated services, and directs that this resolution be included in the minutes of the board and that a copy be presented to Ms. Corinne Lynch as a token of its esteem. So that's Ms. Lynch. Next, we have Ms. Helmus. Whereas Ms. Julie Helmus has tendered her resignation as a second grade teacher in the Oradell Public School District to become effective January 1st, 2021, after over 24 years of service, all of which were spent in dedicated and faithful service to the Oradell Public School District. And whereas during her many years in our school system, she has imparted her knowledge and understanding of the educational needs for the students of the Oradell Public School District. And whereas she has given unselfishly of her time and effort in the interest and welfare of the children of our school district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oradell Board of Education hereby recognizes Ms. Julie Helmus's contribution to the district and expresses its appreciation of her dedicated services, and directs that this resolution be included in the minutes of the board and that a copy be presented to Ms. Julie Helmus as a token of its esteem. And last but not least, Mr. Scott Duffy. Whereas Mr. Scott Duffy has tendered his resignation as a sixth grade teacher in the Oradell Public School District to become effective January 1st, 2021, after over 27 years of service, all of which were spent in dedicated and faithful service to the Oradell Public School District. And whereas during his many years in our school system, he has imparted his knowledge and understanding of the educational needs for the students of the Oradell Public School District. And whereas he has given unselfishly of his time and effort in the interest and welfare of the children of our school district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oradell Board of Education hereby recognizes Mr. Duffy's contribution to the district and expresses its appreciation of his dedicated services, and directs that this resolution be included in the minutes of the board and that a copy be presented to Mr. Scott Duffy as a token of its esteem. And we just want our retirees to know that we have a framed copy of the resolution and a gift for each of you, which we will make sure you receive. Before I open to the public, I'm going to open it up to the board. If anyone would like to say anything to any of these retirees, I'm not sure if Ms. Helmus is with us this evening, but I know Ms. Lynch is, and I believe, let's see, and Mr. Duffy is on. So I don't see Ms. Helmus on with us. So would anyone from the board like to say anything before I open it up? Ms. Levy?
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of the teachers, all three of you that are retiring today. I will say that I'm so thankful that my children have been able to benefit from each and every one of you. Mrs. Lynch, I'll tell you that recently there was the family night of coding, and I was on with my children, and I was just so impressed with how much that they were able to do. And I know that they learned that through you. And I'm very appreciative of that. And Mr. Duffy, I don't know that I could thank you enough for the short period of time that you were with my children. But I was amazed during this uncertain and difficult time how you were able to connect with the children, each and every one of them, and get to know them all on Zoom, which I know is no easy task. And you were able to, and that I found to be nothing short of amazing, how you were able to connect with them. And I will always be thankful, and I'm really thankful that my children and all the children of Oradell were able to get to know you and learn from each and every one of you. So thank you so much, and wish you the best of luck and enjoyment as you start your retirement.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Shapiro?
So when I mentioned to my children, one in middle school and one in high school,
that these three teachers were retiring, you could visibly see that their hearts sunk. We are so very fortunate to have such wonderful, dedicated, and compassionate and just inspiring teachers in this building. So it's a sad day for the board to lose three wonderful individuals. I have a couple of stories also that I wanted to share. Mrs. Lynch was one of those constants. She was lucky in that she got to meet literally all of the children in the building, and they would work on really fun projects with her year after year. And it was really nice for that consistency. And she always had a good attitude. And I loved seeing her in her sneakers. She had so much energy. So wish her all the best. Mrs. Helmus inspired my daughter in a way. My daughter would wake up at 6 a.m. every morning and Wake Up with Al, the weather channel with Al Roker. And she became a weather fanatic, and she would come and report to the class every day. And it was because of the weather that Mrs. Helmus was working with them. And she loved science so much for starting that year. And she's in the Science National Honor Society this year. So, Mrs. Helmus planted that seed that I got to watch grow. And she invited, I could sit here and go on for days. For Mr. Duffy, my daughter said that he was one of the best teachers that she's ever had, and that his class was so much fun, and he always helped when they were struggling. So I'm a little bit emotional right now, and I wish them all the best. We're so lucky to have had them. Thank you.
Mrs. Norian?
Yes, I'm going to start with Miss Helmus because she's the only one of the three that my children did not have. But I got to know her in the school, and I really appreciated what she was doing in her classroom and for our Oradell Public School. Plus, I got to see her in the summertime with her children who swam over at Hallworth, since my kids were on the swim teams. So I got to see her at least a bit. As far as Corinne Lynch, I think nobody can contest what she's done. She started here when we had 4 computers in a classroom that were shared by everyone in the class. And to now think of where we are with technology and with our Wi-Fi and with everything going on, she's really come along with Oradell Public. She grew up in our technology with us, and all along the way, she's been extremely helpful. And I will have to say, she would write a thank you to my children for the gifts that they would give her. Always on vacation, she would send us a postcard. So my kids got a postcard from Corinne wherever she went, and she always went exciting places. So she sent us a postcard as her thank you for whatever gift she had gotten. And Mr. Duffy, I think I might have mentioned this before, he did his student teaching in my oldest daughter's class. And so I got to meet him from his first entry into Oradell Public School. And I would say that he caused a stir then, and he managed to keep that up for many more years after that. I did have at least one child that was in his class, and appreciate everything that he's done for the children of Oradell Public School. He's turned them into stockbrokers in a lot of cases with his stock game that he used to play all the time. I wanted a few of his secrets, but he never divulged. What they have left as a legacy to our children here is immeasurable. And like you said, it's over 75 years of experience. And that's a lot of children that they've touched in those years. So you will be missed, but we wish you good luck in your next endeavors.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board? Mr. Walsh?
Yeah, on behalf all the thousands students that they have touched, their lives that they have touched in all the years, as Catherine said, when we started with technology in Oradell Public School, Miss Lynch was right there at the start. And she got us through to where we are today. So we should all be thankful. I don't know, I didn't know Miss Helmus, but 24 years is touching thousands of students. And Mr. Duffy had the stock market game. I remember one time he came down to Wall Street where I was working, and I don't know if that game is still going on, but I think children in school should know something about the stock market. I definitely do. And thank you all three. Oradell is going to miss you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker?
I just want to say, I think there's been so many beautiful things said about them, and I couldn't agree more about, well, three of our retirees. I can only say on behalf of my three grandchildren who, at one time or another, I'm sure had at least two out of the three of these wonderful teachers. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and so does my daughter. I look at Mr. Duffy, and there was always a smile, always a recognition in a positive way whenever I would meet him or chat with him. And he was always such a caring individual about the children. With his sense of humor and his little, what should I say, glow in his eyes when he would say certain things that I'm sure seeing him in a classroom was a joy for all the kids to have experienced him. Miss Lynch, amazing, the things that she's done since I've been here on the board some 8 years, going from no Wi-Fi to struggling. And I never saw her get upset. I always saw her with such a beautiful demeanor, and always was so successful in her end product, even with sharing and teaching the board members some things, which took a lot of patience, believe me. And Ms. Helmuth, thank you for dedicating all those years to make those munchkins successful and make them feel successful in no matter what they were doing. So I just wish you all the best and be well and enjoy every minute of your retirement. Thank you.
Anyone else from the board? Mr. Castro?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate all of our retirees. That many years of service is definitely commendable. Specifically, Miss Lynch, two of our children actually have her now, and she's provided us lots of entertainment for the past few months. She introduced them to this live feed for the bald eagle, and now my oldest checks in on animals all over the world all the time now. So I thank you for that entertainment that she's provided us, especially in these times. And congratulations again to all the retirees.
Thank you. Anyone else from the board?
Yes,
Mr. Darian?
I'd like to wish all three good luck.
Put your mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to thank all three individuals for their dedicated service and wish them good luck in their retirement.
Mr. Griffin?
I don't have anything extra really to add, except that I'm just with kids that are very young, I almost want to just beg you to stay because I've heard so many good things about you guys. I have a kindergarten or first grader, but what's amazing is the lives you touch. Even though you're leaving Oradell, it goes on. So your impact goes way past all your time here. It will go for many, many years. We will miss you, and I wish you the very best.
So before we open it up to our Zoom participants, is there anyone from the admin team that would like to say something here?
I hope the mic works.
That's what I was just going to say. It's flashing red.
So flashing.
Yeah, we have got it. Thank you.
We really are having technical challenges this evening, which happens occasionally. Thought it would be easier to go first. When you walk into Scott Duthie's classroom, there is no way that you are not immediately drawn in. As an educator who's been in hundreds of classrooms across the state of New Jersey, anytime I went somewhere new, I always looked for the anchors and the storytellers. And they're not always easy to find, but when you're someone new, you really look for the people who will share some of the truth and the history and help you along the way. And I was drawn in to Mr. Duthie's room the first week that I was here at OPS. I sat down and immediately became part of the story that he weaves. Mr. Duthie tells a magnificent story every day that he teaches. With charisma and warmth and a sparkle in his eye and a smile, he passionately teaches. You don't love math? After a day in Mr. Duthie's classroom, you'll ask for extra pre-algebra homework. Lack confidence as a public speaker? Mr. Duthie will have you presenting before you even realize you're on stage. Mr. Struggle to get along with your peers? Scott Duthie will guide you to be a better friend, and he'll help you see both sides of the story. When students speak, Scott Duthie listens. His students all know they are important and valued. They know that they can come to him with a problem. They know he will not hold it over their heads if they make a mistake. They know he will treat them not as children, but as learners with much to offer the world. Scott Duthie didn't just bring the stock market game to OPS. He made businessmen and women out of his students. I would even guess that he made some stock market traders out of some of his colleagues as well. But Mr. Duthie wasn't just passionate about the stock market and risk management. He spent many summers working the OPS Summer Exploration Program, teaching a class of Legos. He spent money and time and thousands of Legos with students to bring out creativity for them over the summer. Mr. Duthie joined many of his fifth graders on their annual trip to Sharp Reservation. And after a short hiatus, got back to his roots last year and led his students and colleagues through the woods once again. Scott, you met every challenge given along your OPS journey. You moved subject areas, grade levels, and classrooms. You worked with hundreds of students, parents, and colleagues, and touched their hearts, minds, and lives. Thank you for your years of service. We know you will continue to live your story passionately, and we hope you will occasionally come back to OPS to draw us in once again.
Thank you.
Good evening, and congratulations to all the retirees. We are very thankful for everything that you have done for your years of service. Tonight, I'm honored to stand here to say a few words in celebration of one of the most special individuals at OPS that I've had the honor of working with, Mrs. Julie Helmus. Mrs. Helmus is simply one of a kind. Mrs. Helmus started back in 1996, and she's been a teacher here for over 24 years, and a total of 35 in education. When I dusted off the archives, and let me tell you, there was a lot of dust, I was searching for information about Mrs. Helmus, and I found a short statement written in her beautiful manuscript penmanship that concluded why Oradell should hire her as a teacher. And it simply stated, "Above all, I care." I couldn't agree more of this statement, as I witnessed firsthand Mrs. Helmus's passion for teaching children. She cared about each child in her class and made every day an enjoyable experience. She loves her students and they love her. Her students were sponges for her passion of teaching, especially when it came to science and social studies. For example, when Mrs. Helmus started teaching her Egyptian unit, the kids in her class would light up and could not get enough. Mrs. Helmus's grade level colleagues used the following words to describe her: intuitive, creative, dedicated, funny, magical, spunky, and motherly. The words that were repeated the most were funny and dedicated, and for those of you that know her, you would agree. Mrs. Helmus has many special talents that brought joy and laughter into any room that she entered. Her glass was always half full, and she knew how to make others laugh. Her colleagues always enjoyed celebrating Helmus Day. And I was curious about what Helmus Day was. It was her birthday. They even had a piñata one year for her. Mrs. Helmus, I feel blessed to call you a friend and colleague. You will be missed in the halls as you always put a smile on the faces of others, especially mine. People change in life for reasons beyond their control. However, with everything you've been through personally, somehow you've successfully maintained what you indicated over 24 years ago. Above all, I care. You sure did, Mrs. Helmus. That statement couldn't be more true. Each day we saw you demonstrate care for your students, colleagues, and family. Mrs. Helmus, we wish you nothing but laughter and love during your well-deserved retirement. Enjoy time with your family, especially your first grandchild, which is on his way. Please come back to visit often. You will be missed.
Our classroom teachers have the opportunity that parents get to know them and get to meet them and really build relationships. And then there are people in our community that work behind the scenes that we know they're doing something, but they don't always get the credit that they deserve. So I'd like to split my comments today as principal of Oradell Public School, also just as a learner in this community. As principal, Corinne is technology at OPS. When she arrived here 25 years ago, OPS had one internet connection. The very next year, the lab was wired for internet. Students were learning terms such as the World Wide Web. Corinne quickly immersed herself in this new world because her background is actually that of an art teacher, which she returned to the past few weeks to help this community out when we needed an art teacher to step up. Corinne immediately got to work and created the district's first website and began to teach weekly technology classes to our teachers. That website has grown and grown and grown because of Corinne. Every year, I get emails from teachers across this nation and from homeschool parents that use our website. They send me links and they go, I think this would be a good addition. Corinne is not just helping Oradell. It turns out she's helping the nation grow. The work Corinne has put in over the years in finding websites is incredibly impressive. She's also helped our teachers grow, continuing to give them workshops. And even when I've needed a skill to be taught, I don't always go to our teachers. I go to Corinne because she's the link to help things happen here. Corinne is a doer. She spent summers long before many of your children got here, crawling through classrooms with wires, setting up computers and printers. She assisted in the writing of a $94,000 grant given to Oradell Public School. It put internet into every classroom, and
gave professional development to all of our teachers. It started a summer series of workshops for our teachers that continued for years. Growth. Corinne has always been about helping move OPS forward. But as much as she is about moving forward, she's also been an anchor of this district. So now I'm going to switch from principal and just to be Megan for a moment. When I first was coming to Oradell Public School, I was scared, like no one's business. I was leaving a place I had been for 15 years to start somewhere new. And the last day of my teaching career, people came to see me. And one of the people that came to see me to say goodbye was the elementary technology supervisor. And I shared with her, I said, Lynn, I'm really scared. And she looked at me and she said, Megan, don't worry, you've got Corinne Lynch. And I did have Corinne Lynch by my side every step of the way. She always said to me, you're going to be fine. She gave me the background of this district. She served as a sounding board for new ideas. She's the one that corrected me when I messed up. And she was an extra pair of hands whenever I needed it. Corinne, thank you. Thank you for helping OPS grow. And thank you for helping me grow.
Thank you. We're now going to open up to our Zoom audience. We have 3 hands up. So Rami, could you unmute Amy Kennedy to begin with?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Go.
Oh gosh, I was not expecting to go first at all. All right. Okay. So Julie Helmus, thank you so much for teaching your second graders about how to solve math problems with the inverted triangle, the pizza pie, with starting with big and working your way down to an answer, because as a 5th and 6th grade math teacher, it really helped a lot. And I will miss that terribly. Corinne, I am going to miss you so much seeing you at the computer lab. I can only hope that you slow down and stop walking all the time and put your feet up and enjoy being retired. And oh my gosh, last but not least, Scott, I'm not saying goodbye to you because I would just start crying hysterically, and I can't do that right now. But I was so fortunate to be able to be your grade level colleague last year. It took me 18 years, but I finally was able to. And to go on what Miss Noreen said about your legacy, there's just so many children and adults that you have impacted, starting with my sister being one of your first students, and all the way up until this year. So Scott, I wish you so much happiness and joy in this next chapter. And this is not goodbye. This is just, I'll see you later, because this building is just not going to be the same without you and Julie and Corinne. So thank you all so much for everything.
Thank you. Rami, could you unmute Yelena Feimer? Yelena, you can.
Okay, sorry. This is actually your son, but there was a quick thing I wanted to add. So Mr. Duthie was my 5th grade teacher. Thank you for teaching me social studies. Thank you for teaching me geography really, really well. You taught me fast, and just thank you for teaching me. That's really all I want to say.
Thank you for coming on. Rami, can we move to the next participant, Pooja? Pooja?
Hi, my name is Akriti Nigam, and I was one of the students from Miss Helmus's class. She was really funny, and she always makes me smile, and I really don't want her to leave because she is a really good teacher.
Thank you so much. If we could move to Leslie Macklin. Leslie?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. I'm going to try not to get emotional, but to echo some of the words that have already been said. First for Corinne and Julie. The three of us have a special bond. We all started at the class of '96, coming to OPS together with, I believe there were 8 others that also were with us that evening when we were greeted by the board members in September of that year. And now you're both leaving me with the reins. So I will continue and carry through, but I wish you both the best of luck, and your friendship, your laughs throughout all the years have just been wonderful. I know this isn't a goodbye as you both continue your new phase of your life. And as that was said, Corinne, I just can't, stop thinking when I did walk into my room at OPS for the first time 25 years ago, the first thing I noticed was a dot metric printer that was in there with what I guess you would call now a vintage Apple computer that was so big on this cart. So we've just come a very long way with technology during these last 25 years. Now we're live streaming. I'm on Zoom every day. We do have the Wi-Fi throughout the whole building, wireless printing, and a laptop at our fingertips. So it's just been, during this time, OPS has just grown tenfold with their technology. So thank you. And as Megan had said, all your knowledge that you've given all of us with the technology has just been outstanding. Scott, for all my years at OPS, I've had the pleasure of working side by side with you, whether it's been during summer explorations. We started together in fun and games, and of course you continued with your Lego class, which I couldn't even, it was always huge. Every kid wanted to be in that class. Your geography, whether it be math, science, or social studies, you've just been a dream to work with. I've watched as kids have just expanded their knowledge in every subject you've taught. I know, and as Michelle had echoed, all the knowledge that I've learned about stocks has come from you. So thank you. I've seen how on our step up days, kids are just so delighted when they hear that they have Mr. Duthie. I've watched as you go above and beyond, providing extra help, doing all you can to see that a student reaches their full potential, fine-tuning your lessons and modifying tests so that all of your students succeed. We've sat together through numerous parent-teacher conferences, organized numerous field trips. Yes, originally we used to go to the stock market, Wall Street in the city, and we've written so many SGOs together and PIPs, just to name a few. You've also contributed numerous and tireless hours to the OEA as head of the negotiations team and in many other capacities, ensuring the best for your colleagues. But as much as you have been a wonderful colleague, you're even a greater friend. It's been that time outside of OPS that you've been a real treasure. Your generosity, your kindness, your caring nature has just been invaluable. And you may be leaving OPS, but it's not a goodbye. And I wish you all and Scott from the bottom of my heart and just best wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Macklin. Rami, could you unmute Mr. McGill? Oh, we lost Mr. McGill. Oh, he is? Okay.
Okay, can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can.
Okay. It's a sad day, I think, when I hear all the great things about people. It's happy, or I guess the proper word would be bittersweet. But let me start with Mrs. Helmus. I can't think of a friendlier person or funnier person. in this building. Every single time you would walk down the hall and meet Julie in the hall, there was always something that made you laugh. And through 24 years, it never stopped. And I've never seen her in a bad mood. It was always I looked forward to going to her hall, and sometimes I would even open the door and interrupt her just to laugh. And always a professional. The kids were always actively engaged every time. I can't think of any time that they weren't, working and happy, all the smiles on their face. So I certainly will miss that about OPS. And Corinne Lynch, was more than just, well, she was more than a computer teacher. She was a friend, but always, the thing I have to say about Corinne, she came to us, she came to the teacher to find out what we were doing. Every time we left computer class, she would make sure she knew what was coming for the next, so it would be meaningful for the children. And that helps a lot. She would say, what are we doing in social studies or math or language arts years ago? But it was always something connected with what the classroom teacher was doing. And if anything has more meaning for a classroom teacher, it is expanding our lessons with the curriculum that we're teaching at the time. Invaluable. And she knew her stuff. She knew her stuff about everything. It was always a pleasure to work in Corinne's class alongside of her, or just to stand back and watch her go, because she really was the pinnacle, I think, of a teacher, and of especially with the technology. So again, sad to see her go, and I think another loss. Mr. Scott Duthie, it was 27 years ago I walked in the doors of Oradell Public School, and I was put in the classroom right next to Mr. Duthie. And from day one, he was a friendly face, came, introduced himself, offered his services. And through those 27 years, we've worked side by side on a grade level for 6 years. But then as friends before that, and as colleagues, just always, someone that was out there. He was, and I'm probably repeating some things that people say, but knowledgeable. He knew his subject. He was not just helpful, but so knowledgeable about everything that he would help anybody with, but to the kids too. He just knew his topics backwards and forwards, and made them so enjoyable. And I witnessed this as a colleague in the same grade level for many years. Innovative. He thought of new ways to teach. They weren't necessarily the ways that someone told us to do anything. He came up with things that were innovative. They were brand new. No one had done them before. They were his ideas. That's not easy to do. It's none of it's easy to do in our job, but I think to be original with your ideas is something extra special. Patient. I've never seen him, short of temper. I've never seen him be anything but gracious, caring, and patient with the children. And believe me, there are times that they can try your patience, but it doesn't seem like there were times for Mr. Duthie that they could try his patience. And that's a remarkable person as well. Giving, he would always give anything. Well, he gave a lot of Twizzlers through the years, I know that, but he gave himself to Oradell Public School, gave himself to the children every day that he was there. Gave himself many a time. Well, I know every Tuesday, Monday, I think it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, his classroom, extra help many times. And during that last 20 minutes of contractual hours, but his extra help went on well beyond that, and serviced many sixth grader. And I'm sure it was the same when he was in fifth grade. But, on his time stayed and gave extra help that, quite frankly, he could have gone somewhere and probably charged someone quite a bit of money for that extra help, but he would stay for the children. The children were first, and he cared about everything they did and wanted them to do the best. Went to Sharp many times through the years. I was asked one today how many times. I don't remember how many times exactly, because he went when he wasn't in fifth grade. He went other times. So we're going back 27 years. A great majority of those times he was there. And so much fun. I can think back to last year. We were the last morning of Sharp. Mr. Duthie came to me and said, "Can we go up on the hill? Can you give me a hand with something?" And he went back into the woods, up and down mountains to find a camera that a child had left behind. So he went over hill and dale, and by golly, he found the camera, and he, led the way, and he did that for a child. I mean, up and down. It's not easy to do that. He's a young guy, but it's still not that easy. And the terrain and cutting across the trails, up the rock, and all for the student once again. I just, it's very bittersweet for me to see all these colleagues go. I do want to wish them good luck. I'll miss them. I know my wife will miss all of them as well, and has worked with them through the years, and but they'll all be there the first day of school, probably laughing at May next year as they all go out to breakfast. But wish them the best of luck in their retirement. And I think Oradell is going to have to look far and wide to replace the trio that is going to be walking out the doors. And I wish them the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Rami, could you unmute Tracy Schaum? Tracy, can you hear us? Also, you can turn on your video so we can see you, all of you that are speaking from home.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. It's what I say to the children every day. Honey, I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Tracy, do you want to?
Yeah, it says unable. It says enabled because the video has been stopped. So you probably have screen sharing just like I do every day.
Okay, go ahead. To the floor.
But not any less heartfelt at the same time. So first of all, hello to everyone in the audience. There's a saying, excellence is in the details. Give attention to the details and excellence will come. Well, OPS, Corinne has given attention to the details here. And by the way, in case you don't know it, Corinne is famous for preferring that those details be bullet points with nothing superfluous. Okay, hang on. She's quiet and unassuming and a force that has helped to shape OPS and its ability to be as technologically advanced as we are today, enabling us to transition to remote learning so easily. I've surely been thankful these last 9 months. I've been fortunate to be able to work closely with Corinne for the last 24 years. She's been both a friend and a mentor to me from very early on. For instance, at that first technology meeting, where she had such a vision of what it looked like to move forward in increments. Patience, Tracy, from years 1 to 5, from 5 to 10, and so on. She was steadfast, and I know that right now she's thinking, Tracy, just the bullets. But Corinne, you deserve a lot more than bullets right now. You've taught me to stretch myself, to learn more technology, and to see the future for what it could be. You've guided me with a gentle hand, a forceful one sometimes, and a quiet confidence that let me know it was okay to take risks. Today is a sad day for me because Corinne's retiring feels like a hole at OPS that won't ever be able to be filled. I do remember the many years of summer work that many people referenced, where she and I lay underneath tables untangling numerous wires and Ethernet cables so that the computers would be ready for the next school year. And I would keep saying to the long to-do list that was bulleted, Corinne, your list to do says, I need to do room 238. Who's in room 238? And she would say, I don't remember. It just needs to be done. I think we can all say that she's someone who was there at the 11th hour when something didn't go right, and she was always able to fix it. I can't tell you how many times I stepped into her room just for a reset. She is calm and full of reason. She's like a duck, calm on the surface, but paddling frantically underneath to get the job done. Corinne, you are excellence. Corinne, Scott, and Julie, I will miss all of you. Congratulations to you. I hope you have many, many years of good health. And most importantly, don't forget to live large. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we unmute Jen Koth?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's hard to follow all of those wonderful words that have been said by all the faculty members already. But on behalf of the Oradell PTA Gifts Committee, I just wanted to congratulate all three of the retirees this evening and wish you all the best on your retirement and all your future endeavors. And thank you for all of your many, many years of service to all of the children at OPS. We did leave gifts for all of you in the office, so they should be sent to you along with the gifts from the Board of Education so that you will receive those soon as well. So thank you again and good luck.
Thank you. Rami, can you unmute Eric Mangle? We can't hear you. You need to unmute your.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. First of all, thanks for giving me a few moments. I just wanted to say that in the 3.5 years I've been at OPS, Corinne Lynch has always been there for me as a mentor and as a friend. She was the first stop when I needed advice on a lesson or encouragement to try something new. And she was always willing to collaborate with me on lessons that would benefit the kids in my class and in her classes and just in OPS in general. I kind of think of her a little bit like Radar from MASH. You know, she was someone who could finish Megan's sentences and at the same time, you know, locate something you needed in about 2 seconds. It was amazing. In short, she's a consummate professional, and I, for one, will really miss her. It's gonna, there are days when I can't believe that she's really leaving. So having said that, I wish her all the best in retirement, and I hope that she and Ray enjoy whatever lies ahead for them. I'd also like to wish Julie Helmus and Scott Duthie all the best in their retirement. Both of you have made me laugh more times than I can count, and I really wish you all the best as well. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Rami, would you unmute Nisi Picnic?
Hi, I'm Natalie Picnic, Nacy Picnic's daughter, and I'd like to thank Mr. Duffy for helping me learn how to love math more. And him and Miss Albrecht were an amazing team and prepared me a lot for middle school. And wishing you and Miss Lynch and Miss Helmus the best in retirement.
We would just like to thank you, all three of you, for all the years of dedication to our children at Oradell. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Rami, could you unmute Nicole Hendricks?
I would love to, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I wish all three of you the best. Julie and Corinne, you are bright lights at OPS. Julie, you always make me smile. And it's always a hello as you pass by, and you definitely make people feel special. Corinne, I'm happy to have had the opportunity to work alongside you. And just the learning that went on with our students, it was always engaged and meaningful. And I learned so much about computers over the last almost 20 years with you. And I'm sure that you made an impact on all of your students. And I know that you both brought so much joy and love to your students and to the community. And I wish you the best in your endeavors ahead. And as many of you know, Scott is like a brother to me. Although some of our colleagues refer to us as an old married couple because of our daily drives to work together as we used to commute from the city every day. We've been friends for almost 18, well, for 18 years now. And Scott, I couldn't be more grateful to have you as my friend and to be able to call you my family. You were my unofficial mentor back in 2003, taking me under your wing for my first few years of teaching, so generously providing everything I needed, even without me asking. As a couple of the board members and Michelle said, you definitely taught me all about finances in my 20s. As each year, I took copious notes as you did your stock market presentation for the fifth graders. It wasn't just for them, it was for me personally too. And you taught me about mugshots. You taught me about teaching writing well and all about photosynthesis, how to navigate the sharp trails. You even found us one year. And most importantly, the art of connecting with the students. I watched you and how you spoke to the students with such respect. And I hope that I have gained that from you as well. Scott is one of the best teachers, hands down, to have ever walked the halls of OPS. Just ask his students, their parents, and his colleagues. He has always known how to reach every child and make a true difference for them. I now see it firsthand as I'm teaching his class this year and get to see and hear from his students just how much they admire him and how much they've learned from him. They're always like, can Mr. Duffy come back and visit? Can Mr. Duffy come back and visit? They love you. They really do adore him. And I can honestly say I've never had such big shoes to fill until following Scott. That's for sure. In a few words, Scott, you are generous, loving, funny, patient, an amazing listener, fun, eloquent, and the best friend and teacher around. Thank you for all you've done for me and most importantly, this community. You are amazing and I love you very, very, very much. I wish you much happiness and adventure in the next part of your journey, as I know there are great things ahead for you, Scott. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Rami, would you unmute Helene Albrecht?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, first I want to say about Julie. I don't know if many people know this, but Julie and I worked together, I don't know, over 30 years ago together. We were both middle school teachers at Leonia Middle School. And Julie and I started out, and one thing we will always both remember is the days of little cameras that were probably about this big, and it was a big deal to have a camera. And we were in the teacher's room together and we saw the Challenger space shuttle blow up. And it's just a memory that we always will have. And so Julie is everything everybody said. Julie's just a nut. She's just fun. She was like that when she was in her 20s. She's still like that now. So Julie, I will miss you. I will miss walking into your room. And as Terry said, and even interrupting and saying hi and getting a laugh. Corinne, I've told Corinne already a million times, I'm going to miss her more than anybody. Corinne has taught me so many things. She's great. Just have to, I text her, Corinne, I need you. I need you. She taught me so many things. And as I said to her the other night, even when she doesn't know something, she will find out and she will help. Even if she doesn't know something, she finds out and she's always there. And so Corinne, I will miss you. Talking about Scott is going to be the hardest. Scott, you know how much I love you. It's also so hard because you guys are not there and we're talking to nobody. So I wish you were in front of us. I wish you were getting the send off that all three of you deserve. Such odd times that we have. Scott epitomizes what teacher of the year. He is teacher of the year. Michelle, Hawley, you said it all. I agreed with every single thing you said. I wish I wrote it myself. Scott's a professional. He's funny. He's so smart, patient, interesting to listen to. I mean, you walk into that room, you are mesmerized because you want to listen just as much as you don't even want to leave. You wish you were a child to sit in there. One of the dads on the board just said he's so sorry that these people are leaving because he wants his children to have these teachers. You're right. Everybody's missing out by them leaving. Scott does always go that extra mile for everybody. One example would be when he was probably the best teammate a teacher could ever have. And sometimes we would do conferences together. And I'd be like, Scott would go on and on. I'd be like, all right, let's wrap it up, Scott. We got 40 more to go. And so that's the kind of guy he is. He will just give every single part of himself to every single person. He's one of those people that when you're speaking to him, you really believe that you are the only person in the room because he gives you his undivided attention and he is speaking to you. And no matter who he speaks to, whether it's a child, a teacher, a parent, you really feel like he really cares about you and there's no one else there. And I mean, I could go on and on about all of you. I just want to say that I will miss you. I think as what the quote, I think from Winnie the Pooh, how lucky am I that I have had something that makes saying goodbye so difficult. I feel blessed to have worked with all three of these teachers. I feel very lucky. I'm going to miss them. And I know it's not goodbye for any of them for me, but it's a loss. And for Oradell Public, for the kids that aren't going to get them. And just want you to know, I love you all and I will miss you. Thank you.
Rami, would you unmute David Levy?
Hi, I'm a student of Mr. Duthie, and I just want to say thank you for all that you did, and I learned so much from you in just a few months that we had together. And I want to say thank you to all of the retirees, and you really taught all of the students here at OPS a lot. And I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Anybody else in there want to say anything? Yes, not. Rami, would you unmute Roberta Kenyon?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So first I want to say congratulations to all three of our lucky retirees, and I want to apologize that you all have to leave OPS under such conditions with the pandemic and not get the true proper send-off that we have given other retirees from OPS. You may be walking out of OPS or out of your homes, but you haven't left OPS without leaving behind a portion of you. You each hold a special place in my heart for very different reasons, but more importantly, you hold very special places in all of your students' hearts and mind. And I want to thank you for your time at OPS. I do have to say I've been really lucky to be at OPS since 2000, and Mrs. Helmus was actually my mentor. I heard today that a lot of you think Mrs. Helmus is very funny. So I'm going to tell you one of the best things that she ever taught me. Mrs. Helmus may not have taught me how to be one of the best teachers, but she taught me how to take the VCR cart into my room on Fridays and then erase the evidence and put the cart back in the hallway so I didn't get caught or in trouble that we were watching videos together on Friday. When it was photocopy time and we broke the machine, she had every tool that you could imagine to unlodge that one little tiny piece of paper so that we could continue copying, so we could get ahead of ourselves for the week. Mrs. Helmus not only has brought a sense of humor to OPS, but she literally knows every child for their unique ability, and she knows every staff member in the same way. I've known Julie now for 20 years. She has been a mentor, a friend, and a mama to many of us, and I will so miss you. And I know that this is not goodbye, but just a temporary see you soon. Corinne, computers, my goodness. I think Leslie said it best going through the whole history. I think there's one thing that's missing, the red solo cup when a kid got in trouble and they would put their solo cup on top of the computer. So we knew to go over and help the 4 children that were allowed on computers at the time. And as far as Scott, I just want to say thank you. I've had the pleasure of working with you through the Oradell Education Association, and I'm pretty sure I have never sat through a contract that you haven't helped negotiate. So thank you for all your time, your dedication, and service to OPS. You will all be so, so missed. And thank you so much for giving all your years of service to Oradell and to other local communities that you came from prior to being with us in Oradell. Thank you and good luck. Enjoy.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak before we open up to the retirees? Mommy, could you unmute Sherry Melinda? Sherry Melinda?
Hi. I just wanted a quick, everyone said everything, but I could not let this moment go by without saying thank you so much. I have been lucky enough to work with all 3 of them. Julie, you make me smile. You are my good witch inspiration. Corinne, you are ultimately the reason I feel secure in this pandemic. And Scott, you are just Scott Duthie. No one else can ever be like Scott Duthie. Truly an inspiration. I am so very lucky, and thank you so very much for everything that the 3 of you have given me. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? So we'll open it up to the retirees. If you'd like to say something, I don't think Miss Helmus is on. Let me look. You see her on? Why is my list frozen? There we go. Yeah, okay, so Miss Helmus is not on, so we'll go to Miss Lynch. Would you like to say anything? If you do, put up your digital hand so we can unmute you.
Hi, I wanted to thank everyone for all of the kind words that you have said. And I am going to miss everyone. I am especially going to miss the kids. I have had a wonderful time working with everyone, all the staff. But again, it's the kids that really make it. And what should I say? The last class that I taught was a 2nd grade class. And I find that it was so inspiring to see the kids work so hard on Zoom, which is not easy for them. But they have been troopers, and I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss everybody. So thank you very much for letting me teach for all these years. And I've enjoyed the technology, I think most of all because it is challenging and it changes every day. So when I walked into the building, I wasn't always sure what's going to come up, but I knew that we could handle it. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lynch. Mr. Duffy, if you'd like to speak, raise your digital hand.
Hi, everybody. I am a little overwhelmed just by the beautiful sentiments and just the words from So many of different people I've worked with and my colleagues. In all honesty, I never really thought that I would be retiring this soon. But under the circumstances, the current circumstances, I felt that it was exactly the right time for me. I always promised myself that I would step aside before that spirit and that passion faded. A martyr I am not. However, there will forever be a special place in my heart for Oradell School, as it's been my home away from home since 1992. I will surely miss my hardworking and dedicated colleagues. They are truly unspoken heroes here. My hat is off to them, and it will stay off for a very long time. I will also miss the incredibly supportive parents and school community that made my many years here at OPS so memorable. And of course, the hundreds of kids, likely might be over 1,000, if my fast math is correct, whose minds I have hoped to open and whose hearts I hope I touched. I can't say anything more, but I thank you all. And you're all very dear to me. And I appreciate the honor this night. And I want to also just honor the other retirees, Corinne and Julie. You have been an amazing group to work with. And I'm glad that I'm in such good company. Thank you.
Thank you. As we wrap this up, I mean, without anyone here in the audience, this went almost, an hour. So we are sad that we could not recognize you and celebrate you as we normally do in person. I have no doubt that if we were not in the middle of this pandemic and we were able to fill the auditorium, this would be going on for another 2 hours with all the kids that would have come in to line up to say their final goodbyes to you. Well, not final goodbyes, but just to wish you well. So from the board, we wish all three of you a happy, healthy, and long retirement. And as we always say, don't be strangers, come back. I know some people always come back for field day. You could always sub. We're always looking for subs. But we thank all three of you for your dedicated years of service to Oradell Public School. Anyone else want to say anything? Good? Okay. We won't be insulted if you all log off at this point. We're used to it. We're going to keep going. So back to our goals with the dates. Do you guys want to pick a date now, or do you want maybe John to email the board with the dates and then we can pick something?
I would prefer sometime in January.
Same here.
26th or the 28th.
So towards the end of the month?
Yeah, I'm not going to be available.
Let's see.
On the 4th or
it's going to be through Zoom, at least with him. So you want to say the 28th, that Thursday? Hang on. Is that okay to wait that long?
He'll be well seasoned by then.
Yes, he will be. Is that okay with everybody? January 28th? Yeah. Okay, so let's say January 28th. I will email him tonight or call him tomorrow to put us on his schedule. And we'll go from there. We have a presentation tonight, but before we move to it, I just wanted to highlight the fact that this is Mr. Castro's last meeting with us. So, Mr. Castro, I was not sure what to think of you when you first came on the board. I was not exactly sure, but I have to tell you that over the several months we've worked together, I've really appreciated the way you handle things and the way you look at situations. You always wait to hear all the facts. You are not swayed by anyone else. And you are always honest and true to yourself. And I've appreciated that greatly this last year. I told you a few weeks ago, I wish you would have run again. And I'll say it again. I hope you run next year. But I know I will miss you on the board, and I'm happy that you joined us. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything. Mrs. Norian?
I think you hit it right on the head. VJ has, he has provided insight as a new board member that he knew when to speak and when not to speak. That sounds kind of funny, but he listened to a lot that was going on. I'm talking about you like in the third person and you're standing right there. I mean, sitting right there. I have really enjoyed getting to know you and seeing your perspective on things that the board has handled over the last so many months. But thank you very much. Don't be a stranger. Let's keep in touch. And if you need any dog tips, you don't call me.
Mr. Darian?
Yeah. VJ, I wish you the best of luck. It's been a pleasure to work with you. I have the same sentiment. I was very surprised. I mean, being a new board member, there's a lot of things that you're unaware of. And sometimes board members tend to reach a decision based on what they think they know. And it turns out, there are other factors that you may not have considered. You never had that problem. You were very good about saying, I'm not certain about this, or I'm uncertain. I need to know more information. And you were very honest. And I really appreciated your unbiased opinions. So whatever your endeavors, good luck to you.
Mr. Walsh?
VJ, I'd like to thank you for stepping up when there was a room on the board, for going through the interview process, which is the way the elections run now. You can just sit home in your underwear and put your name up for it and see what happens. This was a little bit different year, but sometimes coming in front of the board, even though there was just 9 of us, 10 of us, 11 of us, and making your plea to join the board is a big thing. I mean, it's not done that often. Doesn't happen that often. I want to thank you for stepping up and joining the board. Thanks.
Ms. Noyan?
I just want to add one more thing. Because when you came on the board, we were all experiencing a loss as a board member. And so it was a difficult place to come in, and you really, you did it beautifully. Congratulations to you. I'm so thankful that you joined us very much.
Mrs. Walker?
BJ, it's been a pleasure, and I've seen you evolve into a great board member. So, and the one thing I noticed, BJ, is that you would listen. You're a great listener, but then you took it another level by analyzing the whole situation, and then in a way that was not questioning, not accusatory, but actually just stating how you saw the situation. And when you heard feedback from others, you actually would say, oh, I never thought of that. Now, it takes a strong person and a person who's very comfortable with how they feel to actually admit that you didn't think of that. So I admire you for all those things. And I admire you for giving up your family each week. And now it's become almost weekly that we're seeing each other, probably getting sick of each other, right? But thank you. And I do hope that you do return to the board, that or politics, maybe run for president next year or something. It would be, you get my vote. Thank you.
BJ, I just want to echo the comments. The night that you came on to interview with the group for an interim seat, there was a lot of competition in that room. I don't know if people remember, there were some really talented folks. and it was steep competition. There was a lot of discussion behind the scenes with the board trying to figure out who was right. And I don't think ever once I've questioned if you were right. You have been impeccable as a board member. I've enjoyed getting to know you as a friend too. I also I can be a little passionate sometimes about some of my ideas, and at times it's been very helpful, VJ, to sit and have conversations with you about certain things, because I find that you are very good at sharing a different perspective. I think you're also very good at helping me see the broader picture, and I very much appreciate it. So I hope you will be back.
I just wanted to say that I know that the circumstances in which you joined the board were not the typical, and I think your thoughtfulness and presence were welcome and appreciated. I often thought that the way you view things were just very different than me, and very well appreciated, and made me think about a lot of things. And for that, I really thank you and I wish you luck. I also thank you for being such a good sport, not only on the board, but also in the broader OPS community, as he tested the slime out for the Thanksgiving slime-a-thon. And so thank you very much.
Everybody said everything. I wanted to say, I've really enjoyed working with you, and I've enjoyed getting to know you. And I'm kind of not ready to say goodbye, to be honest. You're my seat buddy over here. And you know how it is. The learning curve on the board is like this. It's steep. There's a lot to learn. You asked a lot of questions. You listened and you spoke up, and you did a great job. I'm not ready to say goodbye. And like Dorothy said, I hope that you do consider a run at another time, because this school community really benefited from your service here. So thank you so much.
I appreciate all the kind words, especially if you consider my tenure has only been, like 8 months? I mean, a woman's pregnancy is longer, so it's quite humiliating, quite humbling to hear such kind words. So I appreciate that very much. I do also want to thank all of you. Like Mr. Walsh pointed out, it wasn't an election, so I needed to apply, and you all selected me. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity that you had given me to serve over these last 8 or 9 months or so. It's been a great experience, and due to circumstances the way they are, I just don't have the time in my life I feel like I should can devote to it right now. But hopefully sometime down the road I'd like to come back and fulfill a longer experience and hopefully contribute a little more to the community. So again, I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. So right now we're going to move forward to our ELL presentation.
Okay, so are we good? Okay, so just as a reminder, I wear several different hats at Oradell Public Schools, so I'm not currently standing here as principal or as the district data coordinator or as the district anti-bullying coordinator. Right now, I get to stand here as the interim supervisor of English language learners, a role that I will hold until Ms. Sharkey joins us in January, which won't come soon enough. So let's talk a little bit about our English language learners. The reason I'm presenting this evening is we are required by state law to present any standardized testing results that we have. So while we were not able, the state did not give the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment last spring, we were in the process of assessing our English language learners on their assessment when we went remote. And because our our ESL teachers are so efficient, we actually finished testing all but 2 students when we went remote. So let's learn a little bit about that assessment. So we know that our English language learners, or our ELLs, are students who have the opportunity to receive instruction in English in addition to taking all their additional classes. They qualify for that instruction based on assessments given at the beginning of the year. Now, we know whether or not to assess a student based on how their family fills out a home language survey. So the state actually has a pretty standardized protocol. If this happens when a parent fills out their home language survey, then our ESL teachers have a conversation with the parent to learn a little bit more about that learner and about how much English they're speaking or listening to at home. And then they give them an assessment. The score on that assessment will qualify them for our ESL program. Every spring, February, March time, we assess their progress, and we assess them in the areas of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And where it gets a little bit confusing is those areas are then combined to make some other scores. So the Access test is given across the state of New Jersey. It's actually a national test, and students score from 1 to 6 on that test. So entering, emerging, developing, expanding, bridging, or reaching. The reason we like this assessment, and it's wonderful when you have to give an assessment that's actually useful, is how a student performs and scores informs us on what we need to do better with that individual learner. Each of those areas has a specific rubric that the scores of this test, and it is a computer-based test, use to score each student in those areas. And there actually is speaking sections and listening sections as well. So these are how our students performed in the number of students. The reason that I've combined grades 2nd through 5th is because it's illegal to share any test scores for a subgroup less than 10 students because it's too identifiable. So I could give you some data in 2nd through 5th. I've clumped those students together. So those are our average overall proficiency scores in each of those grades. So we'll go back again just to see the bottom. So most of our students are really in that expanding area. And then, as I said before, each of those subsets, the reading, writing, listening, speaking, get combined to make other scores. So you'll see that the oral language score is a combination of the listening score and the writing score. You'll see that the literacy score is 50% reading and 50% writing, and comprehension is 70% reading and 30% listening. And then we have our total proficiency scores, which is what you saw on the page before. So in all 3 of those grades, oral language is actually the highest area, which is not uncommon. Students are typically much more comfortable. And if you think about yourself in a foreign language, you're much more likely to be able to comprehend listening before you have the confidence and to be able to speak it. And so now as we move forward, our ESL teachers will use that data within their program. We do still have 2 ESL teachers at Oradell Public School, and they are right now offering a combination of on-site and remote instruction. Based on those scores, 15 students were exited from the ELL program last year. They need a score of 4.5 to even be considered for exiting. And 18 students have entered the ELL program this year, the majority of those students being in kindergarten, based on their entrance scores. Do you have any questions about our ELL program or the New Jersey Access for ELL assessment?
How many do we have in total this year?
Well, let's take that. 24, 28, 38. We lost 15, 38 minus 15 is
Plus
23,
3.
plus 8
41.
is 41.
Okay.
And one other piece to always know is that we do sometimes have parents whose students will qualify for English language learning instruction. However, they will choose to opt their children out. If a child opts out, we still by state law are required to assess them at the end of the year, unless the parent also, just like with the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, chooses to take their student out of testing.
Any questions? Mr. Walsh?
Do we have any parents that have declined the language support?
Yes, that's what I just said. So last year we had 2 students whose parents declined the language support. However, we still assess them at the end of the year. We're required to by state. both of those two students actually did test out of the ESL at the end of the year. Sometimes the problem sometimes with an assessment when you only have one data tool is little kids, especially 5-year-olds in kindergarten, aren't the best test takers. So a parent sometimes will say, I really believe my child's fine. And we just have to test at the end of the year and make sure that parent's gut instinct was right.
Mrs. Walker?
So, and thank you for this. This has been comprehensive, but over the course, say, of 5 years, how many students have increased the percentage of students that have entered the ESL or EL?
Well, remember, we only, when I arrived at Oradell Public School, we only had one ELL teacher, and we've now doubled that. We've been very lucky because we're able to subsidize the salary for our second ESL teacher with some grant funding that we get specifically that has to be used for ELL programs. But we are seeing an increase in students who require ELL services.
And what's the average time that when they enter the program and they exit?
By the end of second grade, most of our students are out of the program. If you're still in the program in grades 3 through 6, typically you've come in 3rd grade or you've transferred in here from somewhere. If you started Oradell Public School and you were in the ELL program, it is very unlikely. That's why the 2nd through 5th grade I had to combine together because there's only 10 students in ELL from 2nd through 6th grade.
Mr. Griffin?
Good.
So the proficiency score is calculated by a different set of categories. Are you guys able to look at those categories specifically? And when you did you see any other interesting trends?
Only that the listening was the highest score in every category, and speaking was often much lower, writing higher, than speaking also. But that makes a lot of sense if you know anything about like second language acquisition. You do usually, you're much more comfortable taking in than you are about putting out.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have a question? Thank you. This administrator's report.
Thank you. So thank you once again, and congratulations, well wishes to all our retirees tonight. And to VJ, just want to say good luck to you in your future endeavors. Like you said, it's been 8 months since you've been on the board. It feels longer, but in a good way, because the way you handled yourself and how gracious you've been on the board. Definitely going to miss that sense of calm that you bring along. So good luck to you. Just a couple of quick points that I wanted to mention for tonight. So the district's 1920 audit of the financial reports has been delayed. The deadline to submit the report is now February 5th. Typically it's in December, but we've had a pushback, obviously because of the pandemic that we're going through, and we're going to delay it till February 5th. Also, I'd like to highlight D9 on tonight's agenda, which is the Bergen County CARES Act grant that we received, which is separate from the federal funds that have been received. So this is a reimbursement for funds that we've worked with through the borough for all COVID-related expenses that we've had. And then finally, up for D10. D10 has been something that we've discussed. It's been a long time coming. So this is in conjunction with the Alyssa's law compliance that we follow through by having the silent alarm. And this is a Securing Our Children's Future Bond Act, which is a grant that is going to be used, as we discussed, hopefully to upgrade some of our surveillance cameras in the district. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Move to minutes, review of December 7th, 3rd, November 30th, 11th, 10th, and 9th. Any questions, please reach out to Mr. Marmara. Tonight, we're going to approve October 26th, 27th, and 28th minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the meeting minutes of October 26th, 27th, and 28th.
Second by Mrs. Walker. Any questions? Call the question.
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin? Yes. Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian? Yes. Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, Mr. Darian, would you take administrative items?
Oh, yes. I would like to introduce items A1 and A2.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Mrs. Norian?
I just have a question on A2. I don't remember having to do this in the past. I just wondered if there was a reason why we're readopting our policies at this point.
Technically, I believe we're supposed to do it every year.
But I
Once a
thought
year.
we did it with
At the reorg.
reorg.
You know why we're doing it this
so
week and
is
not
an
next year?
unusual time.
Mrs. Longo contacted me and said as a part of a formality that it would be on tonight's agenda.
Is it for CUSA?
It might
Yes.
be for CUSA, yeah.
It's QSAC.
We didn't do it, right.
Okay, that's just what I wanted clarification on. Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Call the question?
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin? Yes. Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian? Yes. Mrs. Nichols?
Yes, buildings and grounds, Mr. Darian?
Yes, I have nothing to report and I have nothing to introduce.
Curriculum, Mrs. Norian?
Okay, now don't pass out. We did have a curriculum meeting today. And
That's it.
you will get the minutes going forward that they'll be in our packets. Briefly, we went over curriculum that's what's been happening, how we're making adjustments due to CUSAC. And we also went over the latest survey. So all of that will be shared going forward. I would like to say at this point in time, because our administrative team did the presentation of all the information, and I have to tell you, they came prepared. They did an excellent job, and they need to be praised for all the work that they did.
Thank you. Finance, Mrs. Shapiro?
We met on November 18th, and one of the things we discussed was at the next meeting, possibly December 16th, we would meet with Bergen to discuss some things about technology going forward. Are we scheduled? Is he able to come on that day?
I'm still trying to schedule with him. I need to
Okay.
call back.
So tentatively meeting
Yep. the
next
16th.
week. Okay, so that's that. This evening, I'd like to make a motion to approve items D1 through D10.
I'll second it.
Any questions?
I have questions.
Mr. Darian?
Yes, so, Mr. Marmara, on D10, it's a grant that we're receiving from whom? You highlight that?
State.
So that's from the state? It's from New Jersey?
Yep.
Okay.
And the qualification for that was we had to comply with the Alyssa's law,
Okay,
which was the installation of our silent alarm system.
okay. And then for D9, that's funding by the county, is that correct, for the 25,000?
Yes.
And that's COVID related. And then we had a prior funding, I think it was from the federal government, is that correct?
Yep,
Relating to COVID?
That's correct. Mhm.
And that was in the 20s, like 20-something thousand, do you remember?
I think it was about 17,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
And just recently, and that's the US government. And then recently, we just were awarded some PPE, is that correct?
Very limited amount of PPE.
And where did that come from?
That was from the federal government.
The Fed? Okay. And can you elaborate very little? What does that mean?
For masks. Four.
Okay.
When we say little.
And some of those were small masks?
They're child size, 4
Okay.
child size masks.
Okay, so much appreciated.
Are you going to send a thank you note to the federal government for those 4 minutes?
Yeah, I highlight this, one, to be funny, but two, just to remind the community and just to set on the record that, for the most part, when it comes to COVID-related expenses, we're self-funded. And so it's got to come out of our budget. And we've been doing our best to ensure that funds are available to do whatever we need to do. And that's not, even talking about the ionization of the HVAC. So, I just wanted to call that out. That's all. Thank you.
Mrs. Levy?
Thank you. Ms. Remora, I just have a question on G10. So it's earmarked, or it's not only, we're planning on using it for the upgrade for the surveillance camera.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we could, if it does, do we have an estimate for that already, or if it does, then we might be able to get more? Is that what?
Oh, yes, we do have an estimate on the camera system right now. It is more than what this is, so we're just trying to figure out how to attack it from here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, without getting into too many specifics, we're just upgrading what's existing.
That's what I'm more curious, like we could potentially get more local funds, is what it says here. Is that the case or no?
No, not for D10, for the security grant. That's our maximum allotment.
Okay. That was, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I misread that then. Thank you.
Actually, for D9 though, I've been working with the borough because we might be able to get a little bit more, because it is reimbursable. So as I keep filling out more forms for reimbursing on the purchase orders due to COVID-related expenditures, we'll see if we get reimbursed for any more money. Deadline's December 18th.
Gotcha. Thank you for doing that.
Mrs. Walker?
Just a quick question on D10, where the school security grant application. So could you fill out the grant paperwork and then it only awarded to those folks or school districts that propose the best grants, or is it just across the board?
So every school in the state got an allocation amount based off of different data and demographics of the school. So this was our specific allocation amount, and the way that we would qualify for it was there was actually a pre-application that we had to fill out, just explaining that we were in compliance with Alyssa's law. Like I mentioned, the silent alarm system that we have in our building now. I had to submit pictures and proof and a narrative, and once that all went in and got approved, they said, okay, now you can go ahead and start work on your next security project. And it's stipulated for security measures only.
Sorry, when I was part to pursue that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Call the question?
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin? Yes. Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. Delegate report, Mr. Walsh?
Yes, there were two meetings. One was the last Saturday in November. We went to the delegates assembly and we discussed the resolution that I had talked about in front of the board early in November. And that was brought by Lodi. There was a member on the board, who had a 3-year term with 1 year left, who wanted to run for 3 years. So he would have his name on the 1 year and the 3 years if they let them. But that's not what happened. What happened was New Jersey School Board said that you have to resign the 1 year term, could be a 2 year term too, to run for another term, a 3 year term. So the language was put into the policies of the New Jersey school boards. That was last Saturday in November. Last Saturday, there was a meeting, a legislative meeting. Both meetings were virtual. At the meeting, we got the New Jersey Senate updates, the pending legislation. There were pandemic issues affecting a lot of different schools. They talked about health benefits, regionalization and district consolidation, and funding concerns. The meeting ended in the afternoon, and that's all that I have to report.
Thank you. Personnel, Mrs. Walker?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to present F1 and F2.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the question?
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin? Yes. Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. Policy, Mrs. Levy?
Don't we have to, because she stipulated only F1 and F2.
Should be
Oh, yeah.
F1
So-
through F4, right?
F1 through F4.
So we have to go to 4. You probably meant till F4.
It's
To the
3
end.
resolutions under 3 separate. It's not just one. Yeah.
Uh,
Do you have to vote again?
I second
Okay, sir.
the motion to
Yeah.
F4.
I think they're gonna
Yeah.
decide whether or not.
You want me to restate it?
Sure.
Yes.
So I'd like to present F1 through F4.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Mr. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Mrs. Levy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shapiro?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mrs. Nichols?
Yes. Policy, Mrs. Levy?
Nothing to report.
Public relations, Mr. Griffin?
Yeah, the board newsletter is at the printer and should be arriving in households soon. We don't have a meeting on the books right now, but I think internally looking at the forms and functions of the board committee, and hopefully we'll have that set by next year and back on the books.
You want to move into the task force?
Sure, COVID task force, we've had 2 meetings since our last. We outlined the committee's purpose, reviewed the incredible work that the pandemic response team has done with the website. If you haven't checked it out as a community member, you really should. It's a single place on the website that brings all the communications into one spot, so you can check it all out. They're doing an awesome job. Talked about options for sectioning off the building in the committee, mostly to find ways to keep kids seeing more in-person learning. Spoke about a couple other items, including the impact COVID has had on staffing. The personnel committee is going to be looking into that a little bit more, but really happy with the progress of the committee. The full notes will be in the packets for the board members soon.
Has anyone seen the COVID site on our, we have to thank Ms. Bozios and her team and the committee, because I'm not sure any other schools have it, but it's very good. At this time, we will open to the public. Any old or new business?
Yeah, new.
Mr. Walt?
Are we going to discuss the letter from the OEA?
No, we're not going to discuss it.
Okay.
It's going to be given to the superintendent, and it'll be taken under advisement by the superintendent and her team.
On old and new business.
Old or new business?
I wanted to say and congratulate the administration on the website. I think it's awesome. And I agree, Mrs. Nichols, I haven't seen that at any other school. And I think it's a nice concentrated place where everybody can go and get all the information. So thank you. And thanks for all your hard work on that.
Any other old or new business? So we had mentioned going into a closed session this evening for personnel and / legal items. If anyone wants to make that motion,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we will be going to a closed session. We will not be taking action afterwards. So happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to everybody. Happy holidays.